Hello. How are we?
Hello there.
Okay.
I'm very good.
Before we get started, I need to clear
I thought
the
we
air.
already got started.
No, we are started. Before we get started, we have started. There's something I need to clear up with you. And
Okay.
I don't think I'm the only person that wants to know this.
Ooh.
Yes. This is the definitive moment. Can you please tell me, once and for all, how do I pronounce your Twitch username? I need
This is
to
the
know.
best part. I just became actually a streamer just to make fun out of people pronouncing my name. So I like to raid random people to see how they pronounce my name.
I've heard there's Agus, I've heard Agus. A lot of people just defer to JP. That's smart. JP's smart
Yeah.
because you can't get that wrong.
So I have been renamed actually JP. I never intended that, to be honest. Like the only reason I put JP at the end is because Aguskun was already taken. I know who you are, Aguskun. I'm searching for you, and give me back my name. And yeah, basically, I just I live in Japan, so I'm gonna just add JP. But I don't care. I don't mind at all if people call me JP. To be honest, if that's easier for them. My name in Spanish is Agus.
Agus?
Yes, and then it would be like Aguskun because the Japanese like suffix like in names like Agus-chan, Aguskun would be Aguskun. But I know it's difficult for English speakers, so they go like in like August pronunciation, like the month. So I'm okay with that too. Like I work with many like native English speakers, so I get it. Anything is basically okay as long as you call me.
Okay. Well, welcome in, Aguskun.
Thank
I got
you.
that right. How you doing today?
My pleasure. Very good. Actually, like I took the day off basically. So it's a good day.
Didn't you have a holiday? Didn't you already have a holiday this week?
Okay, let me it was half off, okay? Not like it was pouring down outside. So and then I was playing with you in the morning, Among Us.
Yes, that was awesome, by the way.
So yeah, thank you for that. And then I was like, oh, should I go to uni? But there are plenty of things I can do in the computer, so I just stayed at home instead of going to the university. So yeah, half off.
Half off. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So I worked only like in my PhD, like let's say 2.5 days this week. But we're not gonna tell anyone.
About the days off or about the PhD?
About the PhD.
So I do have this on my little secret list of things that I want to speak with you about, but I know from a good friend of mine who did his PhD about 4 or 5 years ago, who completed it, that it's apparently the worst thing you can do is ask somebody in their PhD how their PhD is going.
The worst thing you can ask someone is when are you gonna finish? When are you gonna finish?
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest, like I think the most people ask you from a like kind place, like they just want to know how your life is going. But it is so stressful because I don't really know when I'm gonna finish. Like when I started, I didn't know at all. Like of course you have like an estimation of when you want to finish, but then things happen and then it never happens like that. And like I'm also like doing part-time jobs, so it's hard to dedicate like full time to the PhD. But actually I hope I finish in March.
Oh, that's not that far away. March, that's the heartbeat away.
March, the latest September would be, but I hope in March.
So I guess we should clarify what it is that you're actually doing your PhD on. If it's not too traumatic, that is.
It is not. Let me okay. So my background is nutrition. I studied nutrition back at university. And then I was working for a while in the UK, and then I came to Japan to do the master and PhD. And the thesis of my PhD is a glycation of collagen. Have you heard of collagen?
Write this down, glycation of collagen. I know collagen because people get collagen implants into their lips, I believe.
Yeah, so collagen is basically a protein, like in your body, like very common protein. So I'm studying the glycation of the collagen because it's not actually a good thing to happen. Because when collagen is glycated, it becomes like not flexible, and one of the good things about collagen is that it's flexible in your skin.
Okay,
For
so
example.
as you know, I'm a literature guy. So
Yes.
can we glycation? Like, I'm gonna guess. Let me guess. Glucose sounds similar to glycation.
Yes, it does.
So is glycation when there's too much glucose, and it changes the substance, I guess, a little bit, the matter.
So glycation happens all the time, basically. And now I feel like in a science podcast.
This is
Not
great. Let's
podcast.
do it. So, well, one scientist and one moron in a hat.
Oh no. So yeah, glycation happens all the time, but it can happen with many type of carbohydrates, like small carbohydrates, which is like glucose, fructose, like all these like small, like and smaller than that. So the one I'm studying is actually really specific because PhD are normally like really specific.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I'm an expert in everything. It's just like very tiny parts. So it's one carbohydrate called glyceraldehyde. With it is produced basically. It's really common because it's produced when you are digesting glucose in your body. So it's one of the middle metabolites when you are digesting glucose. So it's just normal to produce it. But the thing is like when there are high levels of those carbohydrates, then glycation is happening more than it should be, like more than your body can process, and then it's bad for you. And that's what I'm studying.
So what led you to that? What was the pathway?
Oof, this is the drama now.
Yeah, I like it. Yes, we're getting a drama.
The dramatic life. It's good that I don't have any filter in my stream, so I can just also like talk about anything of my life here.
That's one of my favorite things about your stream, by the way, is that it's very,
oh, thank you.
It's very transparent, if you know what I mean, in the best possible way.
Yeah, like I think I'm 98% myself.
It's a good percentage to be.
2% of the like things that I would be banned if I say probably.
I understand.
So, but yeah, like basically like what I was interested in when I was studying nutrition was like functional food. I don't know if you have heard, like food that help you with more like healthier, like fortified food, like milk that has more calcium, and then it helps you to be more like healthier.
Like genetically like GMOs?
Like, well, that's one of them, but like it could be other, like it doesn't have to be GMO. Like for example, in England, I was researching fiber.
Okay.
So it's food that contains fiber, and that fiber made like your microbiota, your bacteria in your gut, the healthy bacteria, because you have healthy and not healthy bacteria. So the healthy bacteria will grow more. So I was studying that. So I was very interested in like kind of like healthy part of food, like food consumption. And then I was researching in, but I was a nerd and I liked a lot of games and anime and this and that. So I was in England, and then I said like, oh my God, my dream is to live in Japan. That was like, I had that dream forever. And then I was like 2 years in the UK and I was getting comfortable there. I was thinking like, oh my God, if I don't leave soon, I might not go ever to Japan. And then I had like this kind of realization that I just woke up one morning. I said like, I'm going to Japan.
Oh, really? Just on a whim?
Yeah, it was like that. But actually, it was like I took a flight to Japan. But I applied for a scholarship. So I started researching how to come to Japan. So I applied for the scholarship, and then I came here. And then, well, one of my professors in the supervisor in England knew a professor in Japan. And then through there, I just ended up researching something else in Japan. And then that was my master in a different city in Tokushima. Probably no one knows, but it's a small city in the countryside of Japan.
I'll have to Google it.
Yeah, everyone does. Everyone has to Google it. So I did my master there, and then that professor recommended me another professor in Kyoto University, where I'm now. And this is where the drama starts, because actually I was in a but it wasn't a good place to be researching. Like it was totally the opposite of what I wanted or what my personality goes with. Like I'm a very open kind of I'm my own. I like my own pace of doing things, and
Yeah.
that laboratory was not your own pace. It was like the professor's pace, and it was just hell. Yeah.
So was it
So
like kind of like a dictatorship under the professor?
it
Or?
was he was a tyrant from my point of view. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sued after this. Basically, I wanted to change that place as soon as I reached, because I heard of stories like that happening in not only in Japan, everywhere in the world when you are studying PhD, but I think in Japan it's a little bit more common to happen.
I've heard of this. Like the kind of, is it like, do you think it's the hierarchical kind of structure of things?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this laboratory was very popular. Like people would work like every day from morning to evening, including weekends there. And still they wouldn't graduate on time because they were asked too many things to do, and there were so many meetings. So it was all like a bad place to be. And the things, like, I was trying to talk to people there, and they all agree with me, but then they would make excuses of why that was happening. Like they would be like, oh, it's because we use like animal in our research, or we use like cells, so we need to come on the weekend. And I was like, no, I've been doing that for 7 years, and I've been in human studies, which is like the top, like you have to take care of humans doing the study. And we never had that. Like in England, 5 p.m. there was no one in the university. It was super rare.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are just making excuses to defend like the situation. It was a professor, and then eventually, after 2 years trying to change, I could change laboratory. And then I have to restart my topic, actually, this new topic.
Wow. Okay, so it's a kind of a big setback in a way.
Yeah, it was, but I'm happy it happened, because this place is way better. And yeah, it shows me like there are different ways to do. It's not what they were telling me that like it's because we are using cells or animals, because I was using that in this lab too, and the environment, the atmosphere is completely different.
It's so important. Like I've, just in the years of English teaching that I've had, I remember when I came back to Melbourne from, admittedly a pretty great job in China, and I came back and suddenly there was all this red tape I had to jump through, despite the fact I had all this education, or not education, all this experience rather. And, that's fine. So I did the things, and then the first place I could get the job at was this comparatively low paying for Australian standards joint. And it was run by this tyrant of a woman who just had like, she was like the type, the thing is, like, she wasn't even, I don't even know if she was actually good at English herself. She just had this iron fist, and she kind of was like, I could imagine her being a really good bully, like a mean girl in high school or whatever. And like I was only there for about 4 months before I got a better job. I think I saw like maybe like 10 or 11 people quit. And you'd have days where people would turn up who were like, had been teaching for like 20 years of their life. They're middle-aged people, and they're just like, fuck this, I'm leaving at lunchtime. It's like, dude, how can like one person can just, when they're in that position of power, can really like be like a cancer?
There was no one above her?
Yeah.
Okay, because the problem was her, obviously.
Well, no, sorry, I that's not true. She was like there was a boss, but she was the manager of the teachers. And so like for whatever reason, she was never, never questioned.
Well, yeah, it's horrible when, especially in a society that doesn't, I have a little bit of problem with authority, like, especially being a scientist, because that's what we are supposed to do, question authority. So, and then you go to a place where you don't question the most basic things that are happening. Like there is no need of being 12 hours in a laboratory every day. So yeah, like I have a problem with unreasonable authority. Like I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think authority has there's a purpose. Like I think it's nice to have someone when everything goes to shit to be like, help me, what do we do? But I don't know, people just can tend to abuse it. But then the crazy thing is, like, I remember when I went to this kind of sounds similar to your story when you transferred to the new place. How long have you been at the new place, by the way?
I've been there exactly 3 years, I believe.
Oh,
Three
wow.
years, I think.
That's a good sign. Staying anywhere for 3 years is a good sign for me.
Yeah.
And I went to this new place, and it paid more. It was more professional, and it's like, oh, everyone's nice. It's like weird that like the crapper places seem to be more strict and intense. It just made no sense to me.
Yeah. Like this place I'm now is the same university, is the same faculty. And people graduate in 3 years, 4 years. And in the previous place, people would work double, 3 times more than the people in the amount of time that they spend in the lab, at least. I don't know in the actual work they did, but the time they spent there was way higher. And then they would be 5 years, 6 years to graduate. So it's completely like different because like the previous the requirements to graduate in the previous lab were like publishing like 3 papers, like 3 articles, and in this one with 2 you are good to go. So it's like 33% less work to do.
Yeah, and that's a lot, right? Like it's
a lot. Yeah,
that's a ton.
Well, even like if if you compare with England, like in the PhD, like the PhD students there, they would submit the thesis and they don't have even to publish the article. They can publish it after graduating, which is ideal because publishing takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it must have like to get, and I've never had anything academically published because I just really got my undergrad. So that means technically for some people they could do a thesis, but if it was never published, sorry, when you say published, do you mean like published by a university press or
international like journal, like scientific journal?
Yeah, science journal. Okay. Wow. That's a huge difference as well. Published or just finished. I think I'm probably going to get in trouble if anyone from Australia hears this. I think in Australia it's just finished. I don't think you necessarily.
It could be like in most of the places in Europe, it's just finished. I mean, it's ideal if you publish before, obviously, because you have that, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah. Where did you study your undergrad?
I studied in my hometown, Granada. Yeah, south of Spain.
And what was the reason for moving? Why did you move abroad in the first place?
I had always like I think this is part of I have to be doing things. This is part of so to explain how I have to do things, I will tell you what I was doing before moving from Spain. Like I was doing part-time job in Spain when I was undergraduate. I was working in Burger King. Yes. A job that I actually totally loved because the people there were amazing, and I really liked that job. But yeah, I was working there like 20 hours a week. I was finishing the undergraduate, and then I also did internship.
3 at once?
Well, yes, and then I was managing to go out like pretty much every night with my friends.
Okay. So, that makes sense with you.
I remember it was okay at that time. To be honest, I didn't have to take lessons. I just had to study for the examination, the final exams. So that was the university. What didn't take me so much time. But I would go in the morning to the internship. Then in the from afternoon would be like in the Burger King, and then I would go out with my friends. And then the next morning, people would see me. I had to pick up a friend in my car, and then she was like, "Okay, you went out again because look at your face." I was like, "I just can't say no." Yeah, like it makes me feel alive that I'm doing things.
I was going to ask actually about related to that how you because you're juggling now the PhD, the job, your current job, which is.
I teach 1 day a week in international school. I teach PE, physical education, which is basically games.
Basically games, yeah. PE teachers are always the most popular as well. Everyone loves PE teachers. Well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people love PE teachers.
Well, in my school, IT is the favorite class.
Ah, really?
Because they get to play a lot of video games.
Of course. Yeah, I remember we had digital media, which was basically like Photoshop with a Chilean guy called Senor Wilson. and he was chill. That was a good time. But anyway, so you're juggling PhD, the job, and being a Twitch streamer. So this is something that's gone. This sounds like a narrative of most of your adult life.
Yes, when I moved to England, actually, I moved because I wanted to learn English basically, like properly. I went to Australia actually. That was my first trip. Like I was like,
right. You said that, yeah.
Yeah, I want to go somewhere, and then I said, "What is the farthest place I can go?" It was New Zealand, but then I said, oh, "Australia is close enough."
That seems to be the motivation for most people coming to Australia. It's like, I need to get as far away as possible from wherever the hell I am. And it's always Australia.
Yeah, basically, I just went to study English. It was only like 3 weeks, to be honest. But I wanted to see kangaroos. I wanted to see koalas. And I wanted to do like some like skydiving or like, something fun. And then Australia was the place to go. So I went there.
It's good for those three things.
Yeah.
Where did you go again?
Brisbane.
Brisbane, nice.
Yes. Yes, and basically, yeah, when I moved to the UK, I was also like doing research, and I got an extra job to save money to come to Japan. So I was basically doing pretty much the same. And then now, I've been if I wasn't doing Twitch now, I would be doing something else. Because I need to. I have like the feeling of creating. I don't know if creating, but a lot of entertaining. Like always in my group of friends, I've been the entertainer. I feel good about entertaining people. It's exhausting. Like I need my time of like I'm gonna talk to no one, but I really feel joy when people around me are happy. So Twitch was kind of like, oh, this sounds fun to do, like talk to people when I play video games. So
when did you get started on Twitch?
I got started like May, end of April, May, I think. Yeah, so I was with the people actually, like many people got started because of the quarantine, I guess. But for me, it's the opposite. Like I was busy, or like my life was normal. Like there was no
your life hasn't
quarantine in
changed that
Japan.
much. You were saying, like it's kind of the same.
So, but I just discovered Twitch. Why did I? Yes. Well, the reason actually I'm here is because of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay.
That's the reason I'm here.
Thank you, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes, that was the first game I actually streamed. I finished that game and I wanted to talk to someone about that game, and none of my friends they didn't play because they don't own PS4. So I was like, who can I talk about this game to? Like, I want to talk to someone. And then I discovered Twitch. And then I started talking to people, and I said like, oh, this is what I would like to do, because I wanted to create like kind of a like game podcast or something like that, like where I would talk to people. We would complete a game and then just comment on it, like not something big, just to talk basically. And then I saw Twitch and I said like, well, I'm gonna do this too. Like it's a good way to talk to people about games. So it was because of that, yes. And then I found you. One of the first people I found was, I think, you.
Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like I don't know exactly when it was, but I feel like we've sort of been friends of each other's channel for, I would say, the majority of my time twitching. I've known you.
I think you were maybe already affiliate, but yeah, just like maybe like
probably only just
around that time. Yeah.
So how's it been? How's it been going? Have you been in? Has it like been everything you expected, or how's your experience on Twitch been?
So we were talking about this the other day in my stream, I think, with you. At the first time, I didn't understand Twitch. Like I would be like kind of going in. I think my routine at the beginning was going into Zephyr's stream. He was playing Final Fantasy, and he would play Final Fantasy every night, and it was just before my sleeping time. So every night for me, for him, it's in the morning. So it was my sleeping time. So it was just kind of my routine, like, oh, before sleeping, I'm just gonna talk to this guy. He's very nice. And I was like, what is this place? I couldn't 100 comprehend about Twitch. I mean, I understand Instagram, you post pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitter, you go and vent about something. But I was like, yeah, what do people? But then when I started streaming, I guess I started like understanding what it
Yeah.
was about. And I'm actually like, I'm really happy because I second guess myself a lot.
Mm.
I have like this inner saboteur that will tell me you are not good enough. So switching on the camera and being just publicly online is kind of scary.
Yeah, it is, right? It really is.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that, or do you feel like, do you ever have moments where, because I've had that, particularly in the early days, where I remember the first time I had like 3 people watching me. I was like, oh my God, there's 3 people watching me, Jesus Christ. And like, I was, because I'd kind of gotten used to almost no one watching me, like just to like talking to myself for the first however long. And then I just was like, oh, am I being funny? Am I being boring? Am I being entertaining? And I just had that narrative in my head that was like questioning or whatever. And I realized that I wasn't yet comfortable. And I don't think I really have that anymore. But have you had experiences like that? Or did you in the early days?
It was a little bit horrible, to be honest, the first time. Not the fact that someone is watching you, but the fact that many people were watching me and not talking. And then I would be like, what should I say? Like, who is this person? And then I was trying to do it in Spanish and English. I was like, should I talk in English? Should I talk in Spanish? I don't know which language should I talk in. So was a little bit like stressful.
Yeah.
And then I was just praying because I know some people go and randomly rate people that are just starting, like you have done it a few times. And I was like I hope no one rates me because I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
I hope no one. This is not. I will be like, okay, I'm finishing my stream now. Bye. Thank you.
Well, that's something I've learned too. Like, like obviously my channel's by no means huge, but sometimes there's a number of people that can raid, which I've realized, like, I try not to raid people with like 1 or 2 viewers anymore. Because I'm like, if you drop even 10 on someone with 1 or 2, it could be like,
yeah.
So yeah, no, I can understand that fear.
Yeah, but now it's way better because now there is always someone that I know in the chat, so that keeps the conversation going. And then I think I learned to talk about anything basically. So, or like just say like, now I'm gonna attack this monster, and then now we're gonna to this town, and I just stream of consciousness, like,
yes.
And then I don't have filters, so everything goes.
It really is, isn't it? It's kind of like, I find the stream of consciousness quite, maybe not liberating. Yeah, no, I guess liberating is a way to put it. There's something very free about it. You just can kind of let go and just, and then like once every couple of hours, I'll like almost say something, and I'll go and just like stop it there. But for the most part, you can just kind of let it go. And
and actually, yes, I learned, I think, that watching like you and other streams, like especially because I do it from the university, like I would be doing things and just listening, and then I'm thinking like, wow, this people's chat must be blowing up because they are talking so much. And then you go to the chat and not so many people are talking, but yeah, they are just good at talking. Yeah. Yes. So it's like, this is what I have to do too. So it's kind of, you learn from the community, which is good.
You really do.
And also the community is also very loving. So far it's been really good. Is everything I wished and more, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure like I knew what it was I was wishing for, you know, like I think I'd watched a few people doing it that I enjoyed like watching, but I didn't like when you say words like community, and I use words like community too. Obviously, you know, community gaming night, things like that. I still find there's something a little bit, how do I say this? It makes sense to me now, but it was always a bit intangible what a Twitch community is. what is a Twitch community? Like how would you define community for Twitch? And is it the same as other communities? What do you think?
Is it the same than other communities, like in real life communities?
Yeah.
I doubt it's the same. There is something missing when there is no like real life connection. I feel like there is a little part missing. It doesn't mean that the connection with the person is like less real, because I felt like that a little bit at the beginning, actually, when I started Twitch. Like I saw some streamers using the word friend a lot, and then I was feeling uncomfortable by using the word friend myself to people at the beginning. Like now I don't feel so uncomfortable to using it because I actually feel like I'm creating friends. So I get like, this is also part of understanding how growing the community works, I guess. Like you feel very close to people that come to watch you and you watch them too. And so if there is something different, yes, I think there are things that are different. But I think it's also very, it's real. I feel like it's more real than at the beginning when I started, let's say. Like, it doesn't mean like virtually, it doesn't mean like it's not like kind of real community.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's kind of weird because I realize that, you know, for me, when I think of the word community, the actual word and what it's meant historically, you know, I imagine like an old village or a town where you know people on your street and there's the name of the person at the store on the corner and so gets the firewood, and you know, like where people interact in one space and they know each other and they have functions and they have stories about each other and they visit each other and so on and so forth. And I realized the other day, I don't know the name of my neighbors anymore. Like, I just don't. I don't know the name. I know the guys on this side. There's a nice family over there and they offered to help me move stuff in. And like, I say hi to them and stuff like that, but I don't really have a relationship with them. I don't even know their names. Like, I don't dislike them. I just don't even know them. Like, do you think, well, what's that like in Japan? Is there a sense of like IRL community there?
So, no, I mean, yes, like I think in Japan it's about like your like people just belong to like kind of clubs. Like if you like photography, then you go to like kind of photography club and then you make friends out there, or you are friends with your coworkers. But this is from a foreigner point of view, like but it feels really like fake sometimes. Like it doesn't feel as a genuine kind of relationship as I have with my friends back in Spain, or like my tribe. Like I think you have to find your tribe, which I think this is part of like with Twitch why it feels real, because it's kind of your tribe. Like we all like video games in the big picture, but then inside of video games, like, you know, like I don't go to watch people playing Fortnite, and I like to play Fortnite with my friends. I have played it, okay, so but it's not the kind of I don't know, it's not like 100% my tribe, I would say. Like, and then I don't know, like in Twitch it's easy just to go and just say like, okay, this person is interesting, and this person, I like how they talk to the people in the chat. I like what kind of gamer they are playing, and I don't know, you can connect with them in some kind of basic kind of knowledge, like you both share.
It's interesting, isn't it? That kind of tends to be the way, and like I've found that you know, there's been crossover with a lot of the streamers in I guess the wider Twitch community across like about a dozen different streams, and outside of that there are those connections. What do you think it is about, and I don't want to shit on Fortnite, I mean I think it's something about it that repulses me, but like what do you think it is about a game like that that makes those tribes, let's say, feel so different? Like, is there something about the game, or is it just people need to separate? What is that? What do you think?
Well, I would like to say like because it's so popular, you can find anything there. And then the people who are the more toxic are the people who get the louder voice, and then it's the people that you are seeing all the time. Um, I I think that might be one of the reasons. Um, it's also a very competitive game, which I guess it attracts one kind of public too. Like, and as I said, like, I have fun playing Fortnite with my friends, but I don't like playing Fortnite with random people because, as a like, if as a yeah, as a gay person.
Oh yeah, you're gonna cop heaps of 14-year-old boys being dickheads.
Yes, if you are like, I think, woman or LGBTQ plus member, you don't want to play random people in those games, and that says so much. Like, so
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know what it is, but there is something that those kind of people play those games.
I wonder. I think the popularity thing's a good point. Yeah. Also the competitive thing. Like so I've played a lot of Magic the Gathering in my life. I really like that game. And I've said on stream before, I probably will never stream it though. It's different. It's a less like, I don't want to say, I'm not going to say Fortnite's homophobic, but it has less of that kind of like toxic energy, let's say, than a thing like Fortnite. However, there's this other kind of thing in that parts of that community of a game which I love, but there's this kind of like, if I were to say like a nerd bully, you know what I mean by nerd bully?
Yes.
Like what do you think when I say nerd? What image does that conjure if I say nerd bully? Because I wonder if that's like a real thing.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it would be someone who is within like the nerd community. He feels like he's entitled to the top position, and then he can go bully around the other people who are not nerdily mainstream.
Yeah, that's it. That's exact. Well put. Like, I found like I would get a lot of criticism for not doing things right. Oh, you didn't do that right. Why didn't you do that? That's dumb. Why wouldn't you think that? Oh, why wouldn't you like? And it's just like, why didn't you do everything perfectly? And it's just like, because I'm not perfect. I don't know, dude. Like, and like, so I can understand that idea of liking something but not ever wanting to be involved in those communities.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about like Magic the Gathering not being so homophobic, I think the reason for that is because people who play Magic the Gathering they are, in the most part, they are not mainstream members of the society. They know a little bit the struggle of the LGBTQ community. So I think they could relate with that, and then they are not so homophobic.
Yeah, they're marginalized more. Yeah.
So I think Fortnite, there is no filter. Like, it's so mainstream that people can't relate with any kind of like struggle in there.
That's a really good point. Like, that's a really good point, because I guess you could replace like Fortnite and, I don't know, weird indie game. Like, if you use those two things, you could replace those with anything, right? Like popular music, weird indie music, fashion, weird, like any like mass and then small amount. Yeah, I think you're onto it. But then something like Final Fantasy, like, that's pretty popular, sort of.
It is, but it's very nerdy too, I believe. Like, my friends, if they don't know video games, they don't know Final Fantasy. They never heard. So it's within the game community is like very mainstream, but it's also it's not co-op game. Well, Final Fantasy 14 it is. I don't know how toxic the community is in Final Fantasy 14. I hope it's not too much.
Well, Cranberry's in it, so we know it's.
I will ask him, but I think the thing that it's a single player is kind of like, takes away that kind of toxicity a little bit. I believe.
So, what kind of games are you drawn to? I know a little bit, but maybe not everyone knows. What are you most drawn to?
Well, let's start from the very beginning.
Let's.
I owned when I was a kid. My first console was a Mega Drive.
Oh, nice. A Mega Drive kid. I wouldn't have picked you for a Mega Drive kid, actually.
I was a Mega Drive. I was actually never a Nintendo person. So I was a Mega Drive person, well, child, and then I love my Sonic games, and yeah, I would enjoy those a lot. And then I jumped to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then I would play everything. Like I wouldn't play sports game. Like I wouldn't play. I would play a lot of card games because my brother loved them. But then as soon as I got detached from my brother, like I got my own games, I stopped playing card games too, like racing games. But then one day, someone gave Final Fantasy VII to my brother. He borrowed from a friend.
Yes.
And then my brother played for like 2 hours, and then he was like, "What the fuck is this?" He never touched it again. And then I happened to open it, and I started to play Final Fantasy VII. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like I was used to games that I would finish in one day.
Yeah.
And then when you go through Midgar, and you have 3 CDs, so I knew that the game was gonna be very long. When I finished Midgar, I thought like, okay, the first CD is gonna finish here at the end of Midgar because I've been playing for like, I don't know, 15 hours.
Yeah.
And then you go to the open world, and it's like
that moment when you step out of like, I don't know if people who weren't in that era, it's hard to explain, but that moment when you step out of Midgar and there's a world, like that blew my fucking mind. I was like, this is basically Earth. Like this is basically the size of Earth. That's how like it worked for my mind. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever made. Yeah.
Yes. And the music, it just was great. Then my like RPG love just appeared. Like yeah. So I was drawn to a lot of RPGs. Like I played like all from 7, I played all the Final Fantasies. And then those are the main games. I play a little bit of platformers, but not so much. Like so yeah, like Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, like basically I'm RPG person.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah. And then like as I told you yesterday, like I think since Final Fantasy VII, the only game that blew my mind was The Witcher 3.
Yeah, you said that was a 10 out of 10, right? You gave that a 10 out of 10. Wow. Okay, I have to admit something.
You haven't played.
I've never played it. I watched a little bit of Carrion play. It looks awesome.
So the thing, I must say, like I stopped playing games in my 20s. Like I stopped playing games for 10 years because my social life was too intense.
Yeah.
And basically, then it was kind of easy to be blown away by a game after that, like because I missed quite a lot.
Yeah.
So then I started playing. I play a few games, but then when I played The Witch, I was like, this is like kind of like, so you have so many options like to choose, like, and then it matters what you choose. It matters at the end, like in the big picture.
Your choices affect the finality of what happens.
Yeah, not only the finality of your the characters, but also the finality. I don't want to say spoilers, but the story, like what is happening around the characters, like the history of the world would be different. Like let's say like there are 2 kingdoms fighting, and one kingdom might win or the other might win, depending on what you choose around your side quest. And it has nothing to do with the ending of the game.
Oh, so it's not even because I'm used to. I think the first game I really experienced with that was Mass Effect recently. But it sounds like The Witcher might have actually made that a little more nuanced. Like, so you're talking about things you do in side quests will actually affect.
Like, I think I'm not sure. Like things that you do in side quests, like you might do a side quest today, and then in 3 weeks you are doing a different side quest, and then the options you're gonna get there are gonna be different because of what you did in this side quest.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And or like people you kill or people you decide not to kill, they will appear in a different town and have some effect in some side quests or something. So it's really, really, really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that I was like, this is a 10.
What other 10s are there? You mentioned I think there was because you've got your notebook. I don't know if people know about your notebook.
I have it here.
Please show us. Please show us the notebook.
I'm actually very happy. I just got the new one because I'm about to finish this one. So this is the gay agenda, everyone. I'm gonna conquer
The gay agenda.
world.
That's fucking fantastic.
Yes.
That's so good.
This is world domination is closer for the gay people.
Yes.
So game tracker, video game tracker.
So good.
So basically what I do is like I just write the name of the game, and I grade the user score and the meta score because I'm just a sucker for data. I'm a scientist.
I love it.
So I love my data. And then I will not check the other people's score until I finish the game because I want to have my own opinion about it. And then I will just do the Agus score. And yeah, I was telling Porto that the only 2 games made it to 10. It was The Witcher 3 and God of War, the last God of War.
And okay, see, here's another series. I've never played God of War. I don't hate God of War. I've never played it. I've just never even, because the first one came out on PS2, I guess. And I think that was the period, because I was similar to you. A lot of my 20s, I didn't really game much. Because my social life was getting a little bit crazy as well. And the only gaming I really did in that period with there was a period of having a Wii with some friends and there was a little bit of stuff, but like was just through handhelds. Like I just had like a Game Boy Advance. So a lot of the series that like booted in that era, like a lot of the things that started in like the late PS2, early PS3 era, I just never got on board. Like The Witcher, God of War, Assassin's Creed, like all those kind of games.
Yeah, like I think it was about the same for me. The last game I played, like when I stopped, was Kingdom Hearts 2, which I didn't finish. So that what I remember clearly. I always finish my games. Almost.
I get that impression about you.
And I didn't finish Kingdom Hearts 2. And the first thing I did when I came back to playing was finishing Kingdom Hearts 2.
Nice.
After 10 years.
Nice.
Yes. So I think it was the same. And I never played God of War. I actually replayed, I played them recently, like after like 3 years ago, I guess. I played the old ones. And they are okay, but it's not like it's action game. Like it's not like, I enjoy, but I wouldn't give them a 10 out of 10 at all. But the last one is just kind of perfection in a sense. Like, I don't know. There are things like it needs to have something to blow my mind, to say like, what is this? What is happening? And for me, in the God of War, I don't know if it's the first game which did that, but was the camera. There is no loading screen. So you are with the characters 100% of the time. It's like a movie. So yeah, there is no loading screen at all.
So it never changes. It just kind of like...
Never. So it was very smart. What they did, it was very smart actually, because when you go from I don't know, maybe when you fast travel. No, I don't think even when you fast travel, because to fast travel you have to go to a door and then you cross the door and then you go to a middle kind of a place in between.
Oh, like a limbo in between, yeah.
Yeah, like a limbo. And then you walk around the limbo until a new door appears.
Wow. That's cool.
And the best thing is like when you are walking until the door appears, that you have like a head hanging with you, and the head will tell you like kind of the lore of the world about like like the gods, like it's northern mythology, like about Odin or like any of the gods. So you are still learning about the game when it's loading the next.
That's cool.
So for me, it was like, this is just perfection, and it looks so beautiful too. And yeah, the stories also like the stories. They took so much care in like making sense of the story, and I think the second one is gonna be like also blowing our minds too, because they left some things open that seems really cool. So yeah.
How important is story for you in games? Like, do you need to have a good story? How valuable is the story for you?
It's very actually, when you say what kind of games are you dreaming, when I've been asked that what kind of games I like, I always try to answer like story-driven games. Like, I don't know if you saw me playing what was the game, it was very different from what I have played.
Life is Strange.
Yes, Life is Strange.
Yes, Life is Strange. Because I kept asking you about it ages after you. Like, I finished that 3 weeks ago. Yes, I remember.
So I played Life is Strange, which is kind of different because my friends recommended it actually to me. And I really enjoyed it because the story was really cool.
Yeah.
So story is really important. That's why I don't get so much into platformers. Like, I guess because there is not so much story, it's just Mario jumping around.
There's a story. Bowser and I don't know, Daisy. Yeah, there's no story. There's no story. You're right.
That said, I actually want to play some Mario games now, but they look fun. But yeah, story is really important. I like good story in a game. Yeah, and that's why I enjoy the books. I enjoy the fantasy books. I virtually only read either science or fantasy books. It's all about the story. If I like the story, then I will like the book. I'm not an expert in like how the characters are developed or anything, but if I just kind of, there needs to be like a twist, for me, there needs to be like something. Well, not even a twist, I would say, like something that you see there is kind of meaning in what you are reading or what you are playing. Like there was a meaning into it.
Yeah, no, I think I know what you're saying. Like, I think for me, especially with things that are only story, so especially with a novel or especially with a film, and somewhat with a game, especially with like an RPG game, I would hold it to a similar standard. Other games, not so much, but that for me, I need that feeling with a story of there's a reason to hear this story again, because there's, so many stories are just retellings of other stories, or so many, like so many things just feel by the numbers. And it's like, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, so why should I care? And like, there has to be something that gets me invested, be it a character that is compelling, or a world that is compelling, or a series of events that is intriguing, or something like that. Like, it could be a twist, something that like excites me. Like sometimes I read stuff, like I've been reading through this, I'll show you. I had this collection I got when I was in Edinburgh, actually. It's like called like 2 centuries of Scottish stories. And I'm still like laboring through it. Like it's like 50 short stories. And some of them are great. They're all by different authors. But there was one I was stuck on, and it was like, it put me in a bad mood for like a week, this story. It was just like this like 40 pages, which doesn't seem like much, but there was just nothing in it to excite me. And much like you were saying, you need to complete things. I need to complete stories when I read them. So I knew I had to finish it, but I didn't want to. And it's reading stuff like that I don't know, apparently it's good, but I detested it. That makes me realize like why I like stories in the first place. There has to be something to excite me on some kind of level.
Yeah, I agree.
The end of my rant.
I agree. But that said, actually, now I remember, because you said how important is the story. I think one game I loved, I don't know what AguskunJP got, but must be very high, was Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. But there's a story in that. There's a story in that.
But the thing is, like, how the story is told is something I had never experienced in my life.
Yep.
I was basically killing people. Well, I was being killed most of the time, but I was also sometimes killing enemies. And at some point I was like, what is happening in this game? Like, I have no idea or clue what I'm doing. And it's because like then people told me like, oh, you have to pay attention of the items or you collect, or the things you see, or the people you talk, like that talk randomly. Like there are very few NPCs, but those that are there, you have to pay attention to what they say. And then I got, oh, like the stories, like there is no one telling the story, because there is no one telling the story to the character. So therefore there is no one telling the story to you.
Yeah.
Because you are the character. So you are just dropped there. And I think it was like, well, the game looks like awesome. I love the aesthetic of the game, so
Beautiful.
I fell in love with it. I think that was a very smart way to tell the story, and it made sense. And now I'm gonna shit on another game, Final Fantasy 15, where they did exactly the same.
Yeah.
They did exactly the same. I mean, I still enjoy Final Fantasy 15, but I feel like they did the same in Bloodborne, being very different games. Like they drop you in the middle of the story. There is something happening, and they drop you there. But they didn't make effort in make you understand what was the things that were going on in the actual game.
Right.
I had my feeling. That's my complaint of the game.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah.
That's not really as well, like with a game like Bloodborne that comes from the FromSoft, you know, kind of game culture, I guess, or game philosophy is probably a better way to put it, where they've done that since Demon Souls, I guess. Like you sort of expect that from a FromSoft game where you have to be almost like you can become like a private investigator. Like you can go through that whole game and not have a single clue what's going on if you don't want to. It's just kill things. Or you can be like, so this was from that person that died that I saw the statue of. And then that was, you know, like you can kind of piece it all together, which I find personally very satisfying. But to get that from a Final Fantasy game, that makes no sense.
They didn't try.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess they made the movies. I don't know if you know, like they made these movies.
The Spirits Within?
That you have to watch. No. Like they actually like movies for Final Fantasy 15 that if you watch, then you understand what's happening. Yes.
Isn't that what you play the game for?
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's
so
no good.
that said, like I still think it's a good game. I don't think it's a bad game, but I wish. I don't know. I guess have mixed feelings because we are living in this world where, you know, the DLC, like you can see how companies are like kind of chopping content of games, and then you don't know anymore. Did they actually did that on purpose? Like they chopped it so you go and buy the movie, or you go and buy the DLC, or like
another product.
Because at the end, like when I finished Final Fantasy 15, I didn't watch the movie before, and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what happened at the end. Like I had a kind of idea, but it was the first Final Fantasy I finished that I was like, I had not quite understand what happened here. So so yeah.
That's not satisfying as well, especially with a Final Fantasy game. Like when I think of their games, and you know, people might disagree with me, and that's fine, but like I think of, you know, the idea for me is that you gradually gain an understanding of the world and the politics that you're involved with, and then whatever the antagonist is, like you're supposed to feel like you kind of understand it by the end, at least to some extent.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't play it, is what you're saying? Okay, that enough said.
I mean, I'm happy I played it.
Yeah.
I'm happy I played it because I don't know, I have the whole picture of how the game. I think they achieved in Final Fantasy VII Remake what they attempt in Final Fantasy 15. In some aspect, at least in the battle system.
Yep.
I think that the Final Fantasy VII Remake was a complete battle system, while the Final Fantasy 15 was kind of halfway there. It was nice, but there were some things missing, in my opinion. Humble opinion.
The humblest of opinions. So, Aguskun.
Yes.
You are a bilingual streamer.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's something that I was immediately fascinated by. Was that I remember early days when I would watch your streams, you would back and forth between Spanish and English. Was this something that you intentionally chose to? Did you set out to do this, or did it just happen naturally?
No, I intended to actually. I intended to do English, Spanish, and Japanese.
Oh, I have heard talk of this actually. I hear a little bit of Japanese in your streams. There's a little bit.
Yeah, actually, when I started Octopath Traveler, which I'm currently playing,
go check it out.
advertisement moment.
Yeah,
So when I started that, I started reading everything in Japanese. But I was like such a headache after the first stream that I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. Japanese requires a lot of brain work for me, like which English doesn't. So if someone comes and speak to me in Japanese in the chat, I will reply in Japanese. But if not, then I don't speak in Japanese. And with the English Spanish, I intended to do both, but at the same time, I feel like it gets. This is my feeling. Maybe for the people in the chat, it's completely different. But for me, it feels like it might be confusing for the viewer, like kind of being like chatting in two languages at the same time. So, yeah.
I mean, again, I can only speak for myself. I don't understand Spanish, but it's never been a problem for me. It's kind of more just impressive. It's kind of like, it's kind of interesting, I guess, like seeing someone be able to flip back and forth between these things. But it is a strange dynamic, because I've seen you've had like at times sort of almost like two running conversations, and then you'll like explain to people, maybe you'll be saying something in Spanish and then you explain to people in English what you were saying with them, and then maybe the reverse, where you might explain to the Spanish speakers what you're saying with them. Have you found it challenging, rewarding overall? How have you felt about it?
I felt good, but yeah, I only tend to like explain. I only like translate if the people in the chat are interacting or talking about the same thing, then I will translate. If not, I will have independent conversations, maybe in Spanish and in English. But this, for me, is becoming like I mean, it's a very short time since I started streaming, so it might change in the future. I think my channel might be in 2 years totally different of what it is now. But I think it's becoming like kind of a relationship. Like I had the relationship with people who didn't speak Spanish. And I have a relationship with Japanese people who can speak Japanese or English. And always like one language tends to dominate the other. And then at the end of the day, as much as I try and maybe to speak Japanese with my partner, we end up going back to English when things get intense. Not intense, but after a while. And then that's like the language. Like with my previous partner, then we only speak in Japanese, for example. We almost never speak in English. So that was like the dynamic. One tends to dominate. And I think my chat is becoming a little bit like that. Like it tends to be 80. Now I think it would be like almost 90% English, 10% Spanish.
Well, that's the thing that English speakers, native English speakers, that's the real reason they're so lucky, because English isn't the most, it's not the, I think it's Mandarin, English, Spanish is the order of the most commonly spoken native tongues. But like, it just so happened that English became the global language. And so like, I've heard like what you just said there with your boyfriend about reverting back to English is, I've seen that before. Like I lived with a couple who one was French, one was Chinese. And the French dude had pretty good Chinese, like pretty good Mandarin. But they would just revert back to English. Like it was just, he was just a little bit better at English and she was just a little bit better at English than French. And like, it's just, and I think that's the thing that is like both the gift and a curse for native English speakers, because it seems so easy. It's like, oh wow, look, this really nice guy from Spain speaks fluent English. Isn't that nice? You know, but at the same time, like there's less incentive for us to extend ourselves and actually learn another language because everyone else is learning it as the second language.
Yeah, and I haven't done any researching like what is like, you know, what would be better for like growing the viewers, like speaking in Spanish or English, because it might be better to be speaking in Spanish if like, you know, the Spanish viewers are growing or something like that, or there are fewer Spanish streamers than English streamers. But I think the point of why I choose one or the other, it comes at the beginning of the stream. What language I decide to speak at the beginning of the stream. So I tend to say hello in every language basically, but then I would just start recently only in English. There is one person that Paula. She always come to my chat and she speaks in Spanish. So if she's there, she sometimes is the first viewer. Then we will start all in Spanish. But then soon after, people who speaks English would come. So yeah,
it's hard, isn't it? Because you don't want to you want to keep the majority of people feeling comfortable, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's almost out of your hand in a way.
The good thing is like, even if I think most of the Spanish people who came to my chat, they understand some kind of English, like, so it's easier for them to understand maybe my English than native speaker English. So still maybe they can follow what I'm saying. So yeah. So that's why I guess English is the easier for me to talk now in the stream.
What about in Japan? Is Twitch a thing in Japan?
This is another thing. Like when I was trying to decide what language should I stream in, I started to search for like streamers who were like growing, like starting, like in Japanese, because one of the my goal as like to do a stream is like, of course, like if I get to live out of doing streaming, that would be amazing. Of course, it's the dream. But for me, it's like, I think if I grow with people, anything I do is way better if I do it with people, basically. And I tend to quit way less, like if I do it with people, because I feel the support of the community.
Yeah.
So I was like searching for people who were doing the same as me, like basically starting in Twitch. And then I was searching for Japanese streamers, and no one uses the camera. Like
that's true. I've seen that.
And I was like, for me, I know people who like to watch streams without camera, but for me, it's way better if there is a camera on, because I don't know, I just can connect easier with the person who is doing the stream.
Yeah, I agree. Do you ever watch YouTube Let's Plays? Did you ever watch those at any point? No. Okay, so I sort of, before I knew of Twitch, I would watch like Let's Plays. I might just be like wanting to see a little bit of a game that I loved, or a game that I might want to see, and I'd want to see someone playing it. And because that's like I didn't mind there being no camera on those, because it's a different experience, because you're just watching it, you're not interacting back. But I agree, on Twitch, it's nice to see, especially if someone's reading your comments and sort of replying back to you.
Yeah, and also another funny thing, like I was also like going back to finding your tribe. So I tried to connect with people who had like the LGBTQ tag on it. And so I searched at the beginning, especially at the beginning, a lot with the tag. There is virtually no one who uses the tag in Japan.
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like a lot of people use it. Yeah, in Japan though.
No, in which is another topic that we could talk about, using the tag without being part of the LGBTQ community.
I would love to talk that.
But yeah, like in Japan, no one's used it because I guess Japan is still not there. But I don't know, I thought it would be nice, especially not even just for the Twitch, because it's hard to make gay friends or like LGBTQ people like friends in Japan. So I thought like this might be a way to connect with someone. And I found a couple, but they were not Japanese. They were like foreigners streaming in Japan.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that thing, like I think in Japan, Twitch might be not big yet. Like there are few people who have lots of viewers, like I saw them like a little bit, and they use camera, but people that are trying to start, like virtually no one uses the camera, or like, yeah, it's difficult to find people. Yeah.
How has that been, like, just being in Japan? Like, what's like the LGBT community like over there? Is it present? Can you even find it, or?
Well,
I'm sure you can find it, but like, what's your experience?
It's virtually people meet through dating applications, which is it's easy to meet people through dating applications, but then we are going into a rabbit hole here. Like, what people are looking in dating applications is not necessarily what you want to find. And like when it comes to creating a community or like with having a tribe, like
I've heard. I have friends. I've heard this. I've heard this.
I have no problem with that. Like I use those applications, but the thing is, like when I was in Spain, I had gay friends. When I moved to the UK, I had gay friends within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I never had to use any kind of application or anything. Like it just happened. They happened to be there because it's open. Like you talk to people, blah, 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 and at some point, you know that person is gay or lesbian or something. Like, two of my best friends were lesbian in the UK. So just talking, but here you can talk to someone for like 3 years and you will never learn that they are gay or lesbian. So because they just don't say. So it's like I'm sure, like I came out of the closet. Like it's hard for me to say this because I don't come out of the closet anymore. I just talk to people and then they will learn at some point that I have boyfriend instead of girlfriend or whatever. But in Japan I have to actually actively come out of the closet because people believe I'm making Japan like a grammar mistake or something when I say I have boyfriend. Like, they believe I meant girlfriend. That's how there is no awareness at all. And then I have come out of the closet in every laboratory I've been, 3 laboratories so far, and nobody from there said, "Oh, me too." And there were like I met like 60 or 70 people in those laboratories.
There has to be some, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is the thing. So it's almost impossible to create that community unless you actively really search for that. And it's something I've been struggling since I came to Japan. Me and my partner, we joined the gay parade, and it's growing recently, but it's so small compared with what's happening in Europe or in Australia. So like it's changing, but it's hard to make friends like in Japan. Like
it's so interesting because I feel like there's so many moving parts there. Like you've got and I don't know, so I haven't been to Japan, so I'm just, this is just what I've heard, so I could be wrong, but like in some ways maybe a more conservative culture, but then there's also like the fact of, like some of what you're saying with like not being able to meet people and just meeting people and through speaking, like I feel like that's changing as well, just in the world, in the times we're in. Like it's hard even to like just meet anyone these days and kind of know what they are. And then like that's crazy, like you being not from Japan as well, like people might assume in a conservative sort of old school kind of culture, they might assume that you made a mistake with your grammar, as opposed to if you were Japanese.
It's a funny story actually. In my first lab in Tokushima, I was doing experiment. I was with myself, just moving this flask, and then there was a girl behind me. She was doing the same thing as me. We were just talking, and I said, "I'm going to Osaka this weekend," and then she said, "Like, oh, you go to Osaka very often?" I said, "Yeah, because my boyfriend lives there." And then the conversation continued. Nothing happened. I was like, "Oh, look, like she didn't even say anything." So I guess she took it. Okay. Later, I knew at that time. After that, she went to ask my best friend. Hey, I was told me like he has boyfriend. Is that right? Because like I think he made a mistake. So she had to confirm. She had to confirm with my friend if I was saying the thing I was saying. And then my friend said like, yes, he is, but that's common. Like you can see them in the TV, like like there are like gay people. And then she said like, oh, but things that happen in the TV are not real.
Wow. So, and this is a scientist as well.
Yeah, she master's student. Yeah. So this is the problem. Like I don't want to blame the LGBTQ community because they are the kind of oppressed community. But there is some kind of responsibility that they need to be aware of. Like it's like Japan is a safe place, and then I know it might be hard, but I think they have to realize that as long as it's safe, coming out of the closet is gonna help the next generation to have a normal life, to have the life that they cannot have now. And I know it sucks to be the generation that have to change the things. I'm very grateful for the generation before me in Spain, because things were great when I came out of the closet. But someone has to do it. I'm doing the little I can. But yeah, like people need awareness, because they don't have a problem with people being gay. I believe they have they just don't know they are there.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point. Like it does change in different generations, you know. Like I think within Australia it would have been the last generation as well. Like but then if you live in the country it's probably different as well, but then I guess those people just move to the city because fuck living in the country, right?
Yes.
Wow, fighting the good fight.
Yes. I'm doing the little I can.
So Aguskun, you've mentioned 2 10 out of 10 games on your list. What is there anything lower? What's the lowest thing on your list? What's the lowest
score? I must say
score?
that my list has very high scores, because I mean, I have limited time to play games, so I tend to play the good games.
Of course.
The lowest score would be for it's a 4. 4.
That's pretty low. It's pretty low.
It's the only game that didn't make it to the 5.
It didn't even make half of a game.
They didn't even finish the game. It's Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Oh wow! All right. I know you're a Pokemon fan. I can see the Bulbasaur and the Charizard. I can tell you're a Pokemon. Oh, that's a dope shirt. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I love Pokemon. It was, I guess, with Final Fantasy what blew my mind too when I was a kid. Because I was playing, I was like, wow, this game is. I mean, Final Fantasy, you could see the characters in Pokemon, you just saw pixels, but it was amazing. And I don't know, the last game, it felt like what I was saying before about Final Fantasy 15, that I have my doubts if they purposely left content out, like for the DLC,
so they could sell things.
Yeah, in the Pokemon, it was so clear they left content for the DLC, and it pissed me off so much. I have so many complaints about the game, to be honest. Like the story is not good. Like there is no story whatsoever. It's just a story I could write in like 5 hours thinking. And the thing, like I guess the worst is that you don't have all the Pokemon released so far. You don't have access to those in the main game. You have to wait for the DLC release to have access to those Pokemon. They use the thing is they use excuses. They say there are too many now, so it's a lot of work to make the graphic, the design of the Pokemon in the new game, which I believe is a little bit of BS, because many of those designs are already done for other games.
Right, they don't have to design them, right? They just need to animate them for whatever the
And then after that, like the game was released, I guess like October or something like that, and in December they announced the DLC with the Pokemon you were lacking before. So it's like, okay, you didn't have time for this game, but 3 months after, you already know that you have time for the DLC to add this. Like you have to pay extra $30 for the DLC.
Sounds like it was their plan all along.
Yeah, like man, just wait and release it 6 months later with all the Pokemon in it. And because it feels, for me, the problem with this game, it feels like I can go to any previous Pokemon game and have way more content for the same price that they were selling this game. So what is the point of buying this game anymore? If I don't know, it felt like you heard me talking about capitalism in my stream. I don't want to go into that, but
you're welcome to. You're welcome to.
It was really, really, really about making money, not about making a good game.
Yeah.
Or like, so when you can feel that, when you play a game and you feel that is not fun anymore for me, I want to be into the game and thinking like how beautiful it is, how interesting the story is, how funny it is, whatever it is, the goal of the game when they create it. I don't want to be thinking like they made this to make money, to take money out of me. So
yeah, there's a part of me that thinks that this is sort of how a lot of the great franchises end up. So like when I think of, you know, Final Fantasy, when I think of Pokemon, when I think of you know, Resident Evil, think of these franchises I kind of love. Where even, you know, we've heard the Game of Thrones rants. Like when I think of the Game of Thrones, when I think of Star Wars, when I think of a lot of these things, these beloved franchises that you know, captured a generation of audiences' imaginations, and they all seem to start from a place of love of the thing. You know, like you can tell the original Pokemon game is, there was care put into it. Like it's buggy as fuck, the original well, at least the Western blue and red was pretty buggy, I think, but like still a great game. And my personal favorite is Crystal, by the way. But like I sometimes wonder if it's just because it was so good and because people fell in love with it and needed more and more, and then they got the second gen and the third gen. I feel like at some point when it gets so big, human greed just takes over, and like the company becomes so big that they just go, we can just take a shit and they'll fucking buy it. You know, like it just doesn't matter anymore. Like I sometimes wonder if that is the fate or like the destiny of all great gaming franchises. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the destiny, because I mean, I don't think it's the destiny 100% sure, but I think it's the tendency, and I think it's because of the world we live in, and I blame a little bit capitalism, like wild capitalism, like capitalism without control, and because basically you have a detachment from the creator, and the creator, the person who is playing the game, and the person who is like supporting it, like the shareholders of the company, basically the people at the top of the company, they don't care anymore about the product. They are investing in Game Freak or whatever the name of the company is, because they want their profit back. They don't care about how the product is as long as they have the profit. I believe some people might care, but in the big picture, if they are going to get more profit investing in other gaming company, they would invest there instead of investing in Pokemon. So I think for me, that's the big problem. Like that, but not only with the quality of the game at the end of the day, with the crunch in the industry, like people just like working overtime because they have to fulfill the deadline that the shareholders put them. It's not anymore about the creativity or like less, okay, we have to delay this game because it's going to be better when we delay. It's because you now have a deadline set by someone who doesn't care about the quality of the game. So I think there could be a better balance if the creators have a bigger say in the product and how much time they need to finish the product.
Well, this is why, and I think that's really well put, actually, and this is why I strongly believe in indie games and supporting indie games, because I think that, look, I mean, I hope Final Fantasy 16 is great. I do. I'm not convinced it will be. I'm not saying it's going to be bad either. I don't know. I hope it's amazing. I hope it's amazing.
I hope to.
I hope it's amazing. I hope FromSoft games continue to be amazing. I hope. I hope the new Resident Evil, because I like my survival horror, except Outlast, it's too scary for me. I hope the new Resident Evil is amazing. I really do. I know they've kind of got the quality back recently. But I don't necessarily believe it. But then you know, the thing you see though are like spiritual successes. So like some of the creative team will go to like a smaller studio and create something. There's something now that's coming out that I've seen a lot of YouTubers and Twitchers from like old JRPG fans. Did you ever play Suikoden or Suikoden? Okay,
It sounds very familiar.
I might recommend those to you. I think you might like those. They're like old PS1 era JRPGs, pixel based, like sprite based, and the idea is that you're supposed to collect, like you can collect up to 100 playable characters around this world, and some of them are hidden, but you obviously your party is only like 6 at a time. You can kind of choose your party, and some characters are more important than others. And I think the second one is really beloved, like very beloved game. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, YouTube or Twitch community, but I think it's Konami. Or it's like some studio that just has no financial interest in like making another one. But recently a bunch of those devs or a bunch of the creators of the original have gone over to some other studio, and they're making this like beautiful looking successor that they've got like a Patreon or a GoFundMe or something like that. And so like that's why I really believe in indie gaming, just because it like the creative soul can still be there a little bit.
And that's why it's the big I feel I had a bit of the contradiction in my head, because I love to play the very like I love to play all the Final Fantasy, The Last of Us 2, like the big games.
Me too.
And then I feel this kind of, as I said before, the time is limited, the time you have to play, and then I'm supporting this kind of business. Like I felt I streamed The Last of Us 2. Is the second game I think I streamed, and I felt really, really bad streaming it. Like I've never commented in the chat, but
really, why'd you feel bad?
I felt bad because I knew about the crunch, and I didn't want to support this kind of business, like kind of attitude, like kind of making, like it was all over the news about the, like I think many people quit during the creation of The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
It was famous kind of problem.
Right.
So I said, like, should I actually buy this game, or like I should wait and maybe buy like secondhand or something where I'm not like kind of supported like so much directly. So there was this. I have that, and with Twitch I have it too, because I'm at socialist at heart, and many things of Twitch are really, I feel like the capitalism dripping through the Twitch platform. And I have this kind of thing in my head, this kind of I feel bad sometimes, but I'm trying to deal with that the best I can.
Lord, let's stick with that. What is it about Twitch that you sort of find maybe repugnant from that standpoint?
Well, there are small things, but it's like so basically what I don't like about capitalism in the big picture is like, if you're at the top, you are more likely to remain there. Like if you are in the bottom, if you're in the bottom, you are more likely to remain at the bottom. And then like basically you have access to more. It's unfair because people on the top have access to more things that people at the bottom.
Yeah.
So let's say I start streaming. I right now I can have one emote in my Twitch channel.
Yeah.
To have two, but to have more than one, I need people to subscribe. But to make people subscribe, I have to make the channel more appealing. So how can I make the channel more appealing if they are copying my actually like capability of making it more appealing?
Yeah, the rich get richer.
The people at the top will have all the options to and all the support to make it and when you are recommended people to watch, you will be recommended to people who are like already like streaming for a long time, like, you know. So it's which I guess there is some kind of logic behind that, or at least from a business point of view. And yeah, like I don't know, for me, for example, I would love if people can use, I don't say like maybe all, but 2 or 3 emotes for free in my chat. Like they don't need to subscribe. I would gladly do that, but I can't. So I don't feel like I'm 100% in control of that.
Yep.
And second of all, Twitch is not a democracy, it's a company, which I'm very into the democratizing companies. And if Twitch tomorrow comes to my channel, I said, you are not going to stream anymore in Twitch, I just shut up and I can't say anything.
No, you've got no say in it. You could just be gone. Yeah.
Yes, and which happened to people actually.
It's happened to big streamers. It's
yes.
happened without any explanation. I mean, sometimes there's an explanation, but always.
So those things are kind of like I don't know, like, you know, we kind of democratize like states, like we can vote and choose. But I believe like in the world we live nowadays, people who control the world are not the states, are the corporations, and we need to democratize those. So I'm gonna make a streamers union.
Hey, I like it. I like it. Well, I mean, that's kind of what, you know, there's a similar idea behind some of the ideology behind what you're saying, which has driven me to want to do things like this not podcast, and this idea of really, you know, a lot of people we know are at, you know, varying levels of still being quite small. And I think it is, like you say, like how it's so hard to even get to affiliate. It's so hard to even get to affiliate. And then when you get to affiliate, people go, well, yeah. And then you realize, fuck, now I've got to like get from affiliate to somewhere else. Like there's still nothing. Now I'm allowed to make money. Okay, great. Now I'm allowed to make an emote, but only one. So like I probably feel a little less against it. I can see the criticisms. I can see it. Like it helps the rich or the powerful in that ecosystem stay more powerful. But I think if you get to a point, like it's possible, but it's going to break a lot of people along the way. Like I see a lot of points where people like maybe don't reach affiliate and stop. Just get past affiliate, realize it's still really hard and stop.
I know. I get like Twitch as a company, they want to stay with the people who are resilient, and then they know they are gonna work hard enough to get there.
Yeah.
I get the idea, but I just think it's a little bit. I think like giving more opportunities to the people down below. It doesn't take much away from Twitch in that sense. Like people who are gonna stream for 3 years will stream for 3 years or like for 20 years, independently of how hard maybe it is. You are getting more people quitting earlier. I believe, and there is only also one thing that is like bothering me a little. I don't have like people at the top who are like streaming and doing great. I have virtually no problem with that.
Yeah. I think you've got to respect it on some level.
Yeah, I have more like problem with people like the profit of you know, when someone like gives you like bits or like they donate to you on Twitch, there is a big percentage that doesn't go to you, although you are providing the entertainment. And I understand there are people who have to keep up the servers and there is a lot of work put into the platform, but I know for sure there are plenty of people sitting on a sofa somewhere getting part of that profit, and it kills me inside.
No, I get it.
I'm part of this system. I'm now a little part of that system. I became part of the system. So those are, I think, when you ask me what are the complaints, I would say like those are the complaints. I might get banned tomorrow.
Well, I mean, you know, like in true democracy, you should be able to criticize things, and so you know, hopefully that wouldn't be a bannable thing. But you know, I do agree with what you're saying, but I felt the same way. Like I felt the same way about every workplace I've ever been involved in. You know, like when I think so, like they take. In the end, yes, I agree, but I think it's a better deal. I feel like I get fucked a little less by Twitch. Like they still fuck you, and they take a lot of your stuff, and some of, you know, for stuff that you're essentially doing just because they have the platform. Sometimes I wonder, like I would try and do the calculations at the last school I was at that would pay me a good wage. It looked good on paper, but then I found out one day how much the students paid. And I thought about how, and it was just to see me for like 10 weeks with me. you paid that much money and I got that much of the pie. Let me tell you, it was not 50% of the pie. Like, it was much less. And like, I guess I view the Twitch thing as like well, now I have to be careful. That's fine. I can edit it out anyway. But I view it as the lesser of two evils. Like,
well, yeah,
but still,
I can agree with that.
But still, there is a capitalist like, yes, give me all your resources about it.
I saw you saying in the podcast with non-podcast with Cranberry about you are the product now. We are the product, and
Late
that's
capitalism.
what Twitch basically wants. Like, we become the product, and they get the profit.
Yeah.
We get part of the profit. Obviously, we wouldn't be here, I guess. But it's better than working somewhere else sometimes, because obviously I think I like it. As I said before, when we started this, I really enjoy like interacting with people, making people happy, and like being goofy and the entertainer. So for me, it's like a happy moment too. And also, like, I get the voices in my head to stop talking when I'm streaming. So it's also good for my mental health.
Yeah.
So it's the lesser evil, I guess, if you put it like that. But yeah, I still like I have this narrative in my head of what kind of world I would like to live in, and what kind of person I would like to be in that world. And it kills me a little bit that I cannot be that kind of person that I want to be, because I don't live in that world. So I have to make lemonade with the lemons I get.
How would you I've never heard that expression. I like it. If you were to create a competitor, let's say you had the capability to have a different platform for the same thing, but you had the ability to do it in a way that you saw to be more fair or more to your liking, or just better in general, how would you change it?
I have by no means I'm an expert, so
no, and neither am I, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot either. I'm just curious.
But the basic thing, it would be a cooperative. The people who stream are the people who own the streaming platform, and that's the end of it. And the profit is, it I don't know. It would be like to be talk. Obviously, you cannot give the same profit to someone who streamed 3 hours and someone who streamed 8 hours. But just like being like the owners of the platform are the platform are the people who use the platform. That would be like just a great improvement in my head, at least.
Yeah. You know, an idea just came to me, actually. I'm sure it's been suggested before, and I'm sure it's stupid, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, maybe if Twitch is the platform, it's kind of like, I guess, having a shop in a mall or something like that. Maybe you could just have a thing where you rent or pay, everyone pays the same amount just as a product. You just buy it from Twitch and then you can do it, rather than they take a cut of your things. You know what I mean? Like, so like, for example, I want to stream on Twitch. I get all the profit, all the things that come to me, but I pay Twitch X dollars per year. And it's the same across people, but it's not cut from the profits. You know what
I mean? Yes. It would. I don't know if that would be an improvement from what we have now, because you might not make a lot of money. So it might be worse if you have to pay the rent at the end of the day.
It would be harder to get started. I think it would be, it's tricky, isn't it? But I think it would be more fair for people who are like small-ish but making enough. Yeah, I don't know. It literally just came to me.
Yeah. No, yeah. I also have a problem with rent.
Oh, me and you both. I know.
I'm gonna be known as the communist streamer now.
No, I don't. But these are like socialist things. I don't think these are communist things.
I don't like the thing of label with communist label is like people I don't think understand it anyway. But for me, it's like it's what I said. Like socialism is basically like the workers own the means of production. So at heart, it's basically like if you stream in Twitch, you own Twitch. Like everyone owns Twitch, basically all the streamers. But the problem with the rent is like the first thing that comes to my head is what's happening with coronavirus now with the pandemic. It's like you see all over the world this news of businesses are closing.
Yeah.
Businesses like they are not gonna come back after the pandemic is over.
They've been crippled in Melbourne, crippled.
And then I just think in my head, I know the big picture probably makes sense, but in my head it doesn't make sense. Like, okay, you have the means of production, you have the business, the physical business is there, it's not disappearing with the pandemic. You have people who are going to be able to work after the pandemic as you had them before, and you have the raw materials that you need because they are not disappearing either. It's just like if you stop for 1 year and then you restart after. There is no reason why those businesses should close. The only reason is that they have to pay rent, they have to pay this, they have to pay that. That's my only problem with renting and this kind of thing.
Well, and renting doesn't make it, like, that's the thing, right? Like goods and services, the idea of commerce, I think the idea of money was an exchange for goods and services, right? Like things that people can provide, can either make or do or sort of, provide for people. But rent, a building existing, once it exists, it just exists. So that building doesn't go anywhere, right? Like no one's like, so I know what you're saying. Like the nothing changes the ability for everyone to go back, really. Yeah.
So in the world, like not for our business, like in everything. So it just makes me feel like how unreal some things we are creating are. Like the economy is a little bit, the money, in fact, is a little bit unreal because you have this like, we are losing so much money. But if you think about that, the world is the same. You have the same things you had 1 year ago.
The resources are still there.
The resources are there. So it just this is gonna be very controversial, but for me, owning is not a job. It shouldn't be a job. Owning shouldn't be a job. And then the fact that you own a house and then you are getting profit from it is your job. Like many people have that job. Basically, they just take care of houses. And I agree they should be paid for taking care of the house, like fixing the electricity, fixing this and that. They should be paid for that time. Time is a job for me. Like and the time that viewers spend with us is very valuable because it's time that they cannot spend doing other things. And the time that we spend entertaining them is our time too that we cannot spend doing other things. So I think time is the real job. And create, whether it's entertainment or create physical thing, you are at least creating something. But owning that's owning a platform, which is like Twitch, or like owning a place where you have to pay rent. It just
I understand how that's kind of sickening. And look, you would be, unfortunately, you would be grossed out by a lot of Australian culture then, because it's very much here. There is the Australian dream is home ownership and then property investment. You see it everywhere, property investment. You know, you hear people talking about their second home so often, their second home. Not even a holiday home, their second home in the same city. And it's like, that's when you lose me, because I like the idea of owning a home. I like the idea of being able to excel at something and do well and find, I guess, reward for it. Like, I like the idea of if I can do something that the people around me value, then that's great. I found value and I can find, you know, a way to make my own life better. So I believe in capitalism in that sense. But when it starts getting like exponential and growth on top of growth and things that like where there's not actually anything, it sort of like breaks the system a little bit to just have like 6 houses, and it sort of almost defeats the purpose. And so you would be you'd be grossed out by Australia. It's something that really grosses me out here.
It's I think it's everywhere. I mean, like I had like Zoom video call with my friends back in Spain, like a few months ago when the pandemic started. And then some of them said like, but now it's a good time to buy houses because now the price of the houses are very like very low in
Yeah.
Spain because
Classic.
everything was happening. And one of my friends have the very, very similar political view as me. So I just commented with her afterwards because I knew I would explode at that moment if I said something. Because I was like, do you realize like we are perpetuating this system where people who are actually like they have to pay rent and they cannot even pay rent now because they lost their job with the pandemic. And other people in the meantime are thinking the opposite. They are like, oh, now we're going to buy more houses so we can
Make more money.
like make people pay more rent in the future. So
Yeah. It's crazy, and everyone's self-motivated, and I understand because you want to have a good life, you know, like it's. But the crazy thing is though, if you don't do it, then you get fucked. So like, it's fuck or be fucked. That's my problem with it. Like in Australia as well, you get treated like shit as a renter. Like you know, even when I was working like 40-hour weeks with a fucking, you know, looking professional, doing, you know, in like at the best possible place that I could do the profession, which required a degree and experience and extra certificates and blah, 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 which was I felt proud of as a job. And so I felt like I had some kind of, not stature, but like at least respectability. And I would have these goons from the real estate talking down to me like I was like a fucking criminal because I don't own a home and because I'm a renter, and that the culture here is that you are a second-class citizen if you rent. No one will ever say it to you, but it's the unstated truth. And that's fucked because then of course you don't want to be in that situation. So then what do? You buy a house.
I mean, no, like I think like buying a house to live is everyone should own a house.
No,
basically.
I know. Everyone should have a home, right? Everyone should have a home where they don't feel like they've got to fucking do whatever, some crazy shit, so they can still be there next week.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Like if a pandemic comes, you have a place to crash at night, even if you don't have a job. I think it should be like that. But yeah, it's just like the whole renting thing. That's why when you say like a different platform where you would rent a place to stream, I was like, yeah, it might be better than that, but at the same time, it might be worse if you end up having to pay and then you don't have any profit coming in.
And it would eventually get manipulated where they'd make you pay more for like the premium one that gives you faster speeds and better. It would, the more I think about it, the worse it is. At the time, it sounded good. Yeah, in my head, anyway.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure if we all come to own Twitch, what is the headquarters?
2024. 2024. That's the year. 2025. Give us another year.
Wait for the union. Yes. Well, talking about renting, and I don't want to go back to. I'm going back, I guess, to the LGBT thing.
Please,
like
please.
You said, like searching for home in Australia. Well, you should try to search to rent a house as LGBTQ couple in Japan.
Wow. Oh okay. So do tell.
We were trying to move. Actually, I don't know if you remember. I told you like, oh, we're gonna move to our new room, but at the end we didn't.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember you saying that actually. Yeah.
It never happened. Yes, because we decided it's better when I finish the PhD because we might move somewhere else. So
yeah,
it's a few months now maybe until I finish. So basically, we tried to search for a room, and then basically people will reject you because you are too male trying to search. Like rooms that are available for couples are not available for gay couples, basically.
Oh man. Okay, yeah, that's messed
because
up.
They mean like my reason is like they might think is that there is like some dark business like Yakuza or something like there because like there is no awareness that there could be like gay people in the world, so basically they don't think that
so it's more like ignorance than prejudice.
Yeah, but basically, it's hard as a gay person to go to a real estate and then the people pick the phone. Like when the people pick the phone to call the owner, the landlord, the first thing they ask is two males living together. Is that okay? That's the first thing they would ask to the owner, and then people would say no sometimes. We actually, I think, we wanted to, because they didn't want to say we were couple, like partners in the real estate. They wanted to say we were friends, and then at some point we said like, we actually want you to say we are partners. So
nice. Well done.
Because if the people who reject us, I want them to know it's on them to be homophobic, not on me to be hiding what my like sexual preference is or like who my partner is. So basically we wanted to do that also to raise awareness in the real estate. Like there is people who are gay and
there's people out there that this is how they live. Like I was actually going to ask you that, like, at what point do you draw the line between, it'd be really nice to have this place, all we have to do is just say that we're just, I don't know, platonic friends, and then your values, I guess. But you've already answered that, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah, and the best thing is, I guess, well, if I was going to say, you say from the beginning you don't get to see the room that you get rejected, but sometimes you go with some rooms that I already checked in internet, so you might be rejected from those, which is really annoying. But yeah, like that sucks a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it does suck.
It's hard, yeah. But
the crazy thing with that as well is that's another reason that you're incentivized to become a homeowner. It all just pushes you to home ownership because no one's going to question if you buy the joint.
It's actually true, because all like the gay people we talk to, when they want to go to live with their partners, what they do is they go and buy a house because they don't want to go through the struggle to search for renting a room when they are going to be rejected as a gay couple. Yeah.
I think you're exposed more, like all of the things that marginalize people or could potentially marginalize people. I feel like you're exposed even more if you're not an owner of property, right? Or if you don't have a certain amount of money, like you can kind of get to a point where you just like people can't question you because you can just buy their shit. Crazy world we live in.
What other, which might bring us to the next controversial topic? Which
yes,
is like,
bring the controversy.
This is not about Twitch anymore. If you are rich, basically, like the LGBTQ movement is being is moving forward like very fast in like Western countries like Europe, like America, Australia, but for the rich LGBTQ people. If you are poor LGBTQ, you still get like, well, and if you add like other kind of like, if you are black LGBTQ trans, like then it gets like worse and worse. But as long as you have money, the capitalism is coming to agreement with all these minorities. Like as long as you play along the capitalist game, we are gonna accept you, which is what I feel is the world we are building right now. Like I don't know.
It's a crazy realization, right? That all of the things that apparently matter to people on one side or the other side, or maybe there's probably more than two sides, on every possible side of every possible issue, they mostly get reduced to just an afterthought if there's enough money. Like there's always of everything has a price. Like everyone has a price. I believe that. Which is just fucking crazy. It's just, I don't know. It's mind-boggling. How does that make you feel? Because I'm not sure how that makes me feel, that realization.
It makes me feel oh my god. It makes me feel like the final fight is the class struggle. Is how it makes me feel. Like there is no, like, I mean, there is a very controversial like theory. Like there are many like socialist people who say like the LGBTQ, like the Black Lives Matter, all this kind of movement are kind of distracting people from the real battle, which is like the class struggle. Like people owning the means of production, not like the owners. But I don't agree with that. I agree, like it's worth to fight like for the minorities, kind of like for the like the feminism, all these kind of movements. It's worth fighting. I just wish that people who have been oppressed and they feel the struggle could relate with people who are struggling somewhere else, like like which sometimes doesn't happen because within the LGBTQ community, like drag, like when I was teenager, like drag queens, people wouldn't want to date drag queens. People wouldn't accept trans people as they are accepting now. So sometimes you are oppressed and then you oppress someone else.
So true. True.
And I feel like I have people who are like in the LGBTQ community, like speaking against like different like feminism or Black Lives Matter, and I just say to them like, but if you change the names, if you change female for gay, or if you change female like gay for black, you realize the problem is basically virtually the same. Like there are differences, but it's the same kind of like systemic oppression, and you don't see it anymore because it's not you. So I wish like people could kind of relate with all the other kind of problems. So that's how it makes me feel to see, like, because honestly I have this conversation with a friend, and she's like very like feminist, and she, I don't know if you can be very feminist, I guess you can be feminist or not, but we always say like it's amazing, LGBT, it wouldn't look like that 20 years ago, but LGBTQ movement is way ahead of feminist movement nowadays, and females are 50% of the population, and LGBTQ people are a minority. And I think it's because it's way easier to play along the LGBTQ, like the capitalist kind of game, to play it easier for the, like, to accept a minority than to accept all the like feminist kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's less change, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Less change if it's less people. It's so interesting what you're saying about like the fact that people will suffer, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, maybe prejudice or oppression or just kind of shittiness, maybe even from another group of people. And then if the power comes up here, then they find someone else, or even if they don't, they find someone else. And like, I feel like that's my personal issue, is like often it just seems like, the variables changing and people just still finding someone to fucking be shit to. And do you think like, do you think that that's, because sometimes I think that's just human nature. There's something fucking cruel about humans. Do you think it is human nature? And if so, do you think we can change or will change or are capable of changing as a species?
I wish I had many examples to answer why I think what I think. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert in this, so I don't have examples.
I'm just talking shit.
But I am a very positive, like, I really believe is most of the like bad things that the system creates, and it's not because of the human nature, it's because of how we are living in the system. So when you are presented with this kind of system, which is, if you step on top of someone else, you're going to be higher. If you oppress someone, you're going to be higher. So then you buy into the game. While if the system were a different system, then we wouldn't behave like that. And I feel with education we can mold our like human behavior a lot.
I think that's
I'm a believer that it's possible.
I think that's a good point, that with education you can mold it a lot. I think I'm probably a little more pessimistic. I know there's goodness in people. Like, I know there's goodness in people, and I speak with you, I know there's goodness in you. I speak with Audax, I know there's goodness in him, Cranberry, a lot of the people I've met through Twitch, and that's why Twitch has been extremely positive for me. Just seeing there's goodness in people, but I feel like when you have 7 billion people or whatever on Earth, I just feel like there's always going to be some who, for whatever reason, maybe they've obviously got real reasons in their mind. I don't know what everyone's been through, but that find a way to exploit something. Like every system seems exploitable, and I've yet to be, and again, not an expert, but I've yet to be like convinced of a past or a present or a possible future in which there isn't an avenue to exploit for gain. And I don't know why people just seem to just want more.
Well, yeah, like what it makes me feel positive is comparing, like, I think we as human beings have a very short lifespan.
Yeah.
Like, and we it's very hard for us to see the whole picture, like the big picture. And if you compare how the world was 300 years ago, now is way better.
That's a very
like,
good point.
People shit
I
about
agree.
yeah, with things are now, but people died when they were born because of X disease or whatever.
People died all the time. Yeah.
So, like, let's say, like, poor, like, working class people live better now than kings lived 300 years ago.
Very good
Or
point.
they have more chances to survive, at least. So I believe that the world is moving towards a better place. And actually, Marx said very good things about capitalism. The problem he had with capitalism was he said, like, there is a limit of what capitalism is going to do for human development. And I believe the limit is very close, because with climate change, we might actually destroy the world. No, but seriously, like, what makes me believe, like, things might change, I want to believe that we are not going to be, like, destroying the world. I want to believe that we're going to find, like, a way to compromise with the growth, how the world is growing, the human world is growing. And basically, we cannot keep the things as they are now, I believe, because we've been growing exponentially, like, economically, everything. And we go back to what we were saying about the pandemic and the resources being there always. The resources are limited. That's why I feel like, well, money must be an invention, because if the resources are the same, the value of the things you have are the same at the end of the day. I mean, of course, we can create new jobs. Like, Netflix is something that, is something new, right? Like, Twitch is something new. Like, you create kind of types of job and entertainment, and you create new things through there. But there must be a limit on how much, like, like, for example, Twitch. If someone is watching you, cannot be watching me. So there is a limited amount of eyes that there is a limited amount of human beings in the world. So there is a limit in all kind of growth. I guess the point I'm trying to reach. And if we go above that point of growth, we are basically gonna screw ourselves up at the end. So I believe even the people who are totally against slowing down economies and slowing down growth, I think they will come to understand that they must do it, or that everything is going to be, like, destroying. Because when there is no one able to buy a service, what is the purpose of providing any service at all?
Yeah. And the classic one, like, and this is me kind of oversimplifying things a little bit, but the idea of, like, you can't take your money with you when you die. You just you can't. Like, I always wondered that, like, when I feel like once you can own a helicopter, like, if you have a helipad, I think you've got enough money. Like, I feel like there's some point where people just, like, and I guess it's an addiction of some kind. I wouldn't know because I don't own a helipad. But no, I agree. There's only so much land, only so many resources, only so much air, even.
Like, linking this with what you were saying of, like, if people can change, like, I guess people are too greedy. So what you also want to say, like, people would want more.
That's kind of my, unfortunately, but let me clarify. I don't even necessarily think the majority of people are too greedy, but I think there's just so many that even if it's 1%, that's still enough to That's kind of more what I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like some people will struggle with a different system that doesn't allow them to be so greedy. But I think that, like, now we are promoted. We are. I was born in a society that told me that being billionaire is a good thing.
Mm.
And I just wonder what happened if I were born in a society where told me like being billionaire is a bad thing because the amount of resources is limited, and if you have access to these many resources, someone else is getting access to too little. It's just simple maths.
Yeah.
And I'm oversimplifying this maybe, but at the end of the day, you have a lot of money, you can buy a lot of things, and the amount of things are limited in the world. So what I want to say is, like, if we were born in a society, like, let's say, like, okay, you can go do your business, create anything you want. Like nowadays, like, you are free to create anything you want, any kind of business, but you are not allowed to make a profit for yourself more than X amount of money. And I'm not saying, like, you know, I know people would be enraged with this kind of thought, like, yeah, but it's like you are limiting my freedom, but which I have a very strong opinion about what really freedom might means. But you're limiting my freedom. But I don't really believe, like, in the world we live nowadays, I don't know how is this Australian dollars, but let's say in American dollars, anything would need more than, I don't know, $20,000 a month. I don't know.
You know, it's really weird that you brought this up, because I've brought something similar up before. Like when I've been on my rants with people, I've been like, I've got the solution for all the world's problems. And it's kind of like a capitalism, but there's just a cap, kind of like what you're saying. I think mine was like, I think I like the idea that people can get rich, but not fucking insane rich. Because I think it is nice to have some external drive other than just, like, I guess ideally people would do stuff because they love it, but I think sometimes that external drive can be extra motivating factors for people who might wind up doing great things. I think I had mine at like just $100 million, which is fucking rich. But like that, if you think of the richest people on earth, they're like 50, 100 times that. Like if you just have it at that, then that would surely cap. You'd cut a lot of shit off the top.
I would sign that, because that would be a better place than we are now.
And you can still be rich. You can still have a luxury car. You can still, you know, do this and that. But it gets beyond the point where there's nothing you could possibly even do with that money. Like there's so many people that they're just like, what are they even going to do with it? Like, what are you even going to do with it? I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like for me, like thinking about the richest people in the world, for me, the only way, what's the name? People are gonna kill me for not remember the name of the owner of Amazon.
Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos. The only way, actually, that surname is Spanish, but the only way he should be as rich as he is if he freaking goes and delivers every single package of Amazon himself. Because there is no way you can justify to me that person deserves that amount. What is he doing?
Yeah.
He cannot be doing. He just and the thing is, like, honestly, like, it as a scientist, it hurts me so much, because really, like, most of the scientists are scientists because of love of science.
Yeah.
And we get like shitty money, and most of us don't complain about the money we get. But like, if you think of an iPhone, like the owner of Apple is millionaire, but the technology of the to create that iPhone is all funded by public money. Like,
absolutely.
Like the little pieces that come together to be the iPhone is all based on public money, because it's too risky for companies to invest in those kind of things. So that really, like, kind of pisses me off. Like, then now they go and say, like, oh, but they deserve it because they created this iPhone, or they created this company. Well, it's not like they woke up one day and there were no roads paved, or there were no electricity in the world, and they created everything from zero. Come on. So they should give something back to society. Yeah. I mean, they allegedly they pay taxes, but they could pay a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I think from what I'm gathering, I would say I don't think we're exactly aligned on like our economic ideal world, but I think we're in the ballpark. Like we're like I think we're close. Like
We are really close.
Yeah, I
as
agree.
far as I can tell.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, we're exactly the same. We had the same theory. We didn't even know each other. We're fucking exactly the same. What am I talking about?
We actually agree on that before starting the non-pod.
Yeah, we're like, so before we do this, we took notes. I'm like, so we're going to agree exactly at this point, at exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes. We'll just pretend that we had the idea.
We're going to start from different points and then we're going to reach the same conclusion.
It's perfect. And you know what? I think that's actually probably a perfect place for us to end it. I mean, because I'm trying to, for people watching, I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter because I know 3 hours is a little intimidating.
He's trying.
I'm trying. It's hard because I feel like we could go for another few hours. Like this has been really good.
That's in 1 year. The 1 year, how our life changed in 1 year. Podcast, not podcast.
I mean, honestly, I'd have you back before then if you don't mind. I'm planning on doing this pretty regularly. It's been great, Aguskun. Before we go, what's coming up? What's coming up for you on Twitch and just in life? What's coming up? What can we expect from you?
Well, in life, I hope finishing that PhD.
Let's do it.
Yes, Porto Rage. And in Twitch, I'm hoping, I'm hoping to have more emotes for everyone. It took me a long time to create my first emote.
And it's fantastic, by the way. I really like the VV facepalm. I think it's great.
Thank you. But I'm going to keep on going with the VV theme. I like the black mage. I was always the black mage.
I was always a bit of a red mage myself. But okay.
Yeah. And yeah, like I'm going to keep on streaming basically. Probably I want to have like one RPG or JRPG or and then at the same time stream kind of something different, either something that is new or something that is different from an RPG, like other kind of game. And I'm gonna try my best to stream by the end of this year both Baldur's Gate, which is coming next week.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3, yes. Early access, so we might have fun with the bugs. Also, Cyberpunk.
Oh, wow. Okay. I will be checking both of those out because...
Cyberpunk, I plan to do it first day, if possible.
Please do. Please do. I will be watching. I'll be watching. I will not be playing. I think I might be the only person on Earth, the only streamer on Earth who won't be streaming it. But I'll be watching. I will be watching. I'm very excited.
Be waiting you there.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Thank you so much, Aguskun. Let's do this again.
Thank you so much.
Next time you got some free time.
Yes, my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Let's get the fuck out of here. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.